there's some empty seats up here. So a few people may want to come up here, because certainly there's people out there who want to come in and there's no room. Okay, can we have a few people come up here and sit? Please come so that the people outside have space to come in. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so good evening, everybody. Good to see you all, and good to be at the center, and also to visit with Geshe-la. Geshe-la and I have become friends in here, and then also meeting in India, in South India, for His Holiness's teachings and science conferences and different things. So you're very fortunate to have him here to teach you. Please take advantage. Yeah, don't take the Dharma for granted. When you have a good teacher, go to teachings, learn, okay? Okay, so I always like to start with a little bit of silent meditation and setting our motivation before we have the talk. So, sit up straight. There's, I think, still people outside who want to come in, if people can move up a bit more. And then somebody in the back, let them know that they can come in. And there's still more space up here. And yeah, and another one up here. Yeah. Thank you. When I lived in Nepal, this was what it was like trying to get transportation. And you would see how many people you could fit in a little bus or in a taxi. Yeah, this is not crowded. Yeah, there's plenty of room. In the old days, when we went to the temple for teachings in Dharamsala, His Holiness's teachings, we were basically sitting in each other's laps, almost. Really, there was like no room. So quite spacious, yes. There's more space up here.
Has got leg pain. I've got one chair behind, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to sit behind?
Sit in a chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy here?
Okay. Well, okay, so let's, sit and meditate for a couple of minutes. Let the mind settle down. So begin just checking in with your body and seeing if there's tension anywhere. And if there is, then releasing it. become aware of your breath, letting your breath flow naturally, so don't deep breathe or force your breath in any way. And then focus either at your belly and observe the rise and fall of your belly as you inhale and exhale, or focus at the upper lip and the nostrils and watch, be aware of the sensation of the air, the breath as it goes in and out. So keep your mindfulness on the breath. If you get distracted, notice it. Bring your attention back to the breath. And while you're watching the breath, be aware of its impermanent nature, how it's changing all the time. Let's generate our bodhicitta motivation. So be aware of how your very existence depends on the kindness of others. We don't grow our own food, make our own clothes, build our own houses. All of these things come due to the efforts of others. All of our enjoyments, all of the things we use in our life depend on the efforts of other living beings. So this kind of arrogance that we have, feeling that we're independent people who can take care of ourselves, is really rather mistaken, because we're completely dependent on other living beings just to stay alive. And so when you think about this, then a feeling of gratitude comes towards other living beings. How kind they are to do all they do so that our life continues. And so develop a wish to repay that kindness. A wish that all these beings have happiness in its causes and be free of suffering in its causes. And then don't be content simply to wish others well and to wish them freedom from suffering. But take the step of committing to doing whatever you can to bring that about, to get involved. Of course, as limited beings, there's only a limited amount we can do to benefit others. But if we practice the path well, purify our mind, develop our excellent qualities, then we can become fully enlightened beings who have the special abilities and special power to be of great benefit to sentient beings. So develop that altruistic intention of bodhicitta, aspiring for full awakening, so that you'll have the compassion, wisdom, and power to be of the greatest benefit to all living beings. And in that way, may we be a unified group, a unified force in the world, working for good. So let that also be our motivation for sharing the Dharma this evening. So, I'm kind of assuming that all of you, in some way or another, have heard some teachings about love and compassion and the altruistic intention of bodhicitta. Am I correct in assuming that? Yeah. So we may not be bodhisattvas. I'm not. But we have some high regard, some respect, some aspiration to become a bodhisattva, to generate that bodhicitta intention inside of us, because we realize that just hanging on to our own self-centered intent is making us pretty miserable. Yeah? Because when we just think me, I, my, mine, we become so ego-sensitive about everything, and then we do a lot of harmful, inconsiderate actions that sometimes we're not even aware are harmful and inconsiderate, because we're so blinded by our self-preoccupation. So when we see that, then we we have this feeling of, I want to change and I have to change and I'm committed to changing. And then when we meet the Buddha's teachings, we see, oh, here's the way to change. Yeah. When I was little, I always heard, love thy neighbor as thyself, but I didn't know anybody who did, and I had no idea of how to, until I met the Buddha's teachings. And then I saw that the Buddha so clearly laid out a path. Yeah. If you want to cultivate love, the wish for sentient beings to have happiness in its causes, think like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to develop compassion, think like this, 1, 2. And the points were all laid out. And when I practiced them, then I saw improvement in my mental state and change in the state of my mind. So it really showed that, the Buddha's teachings work. So I have great regard for bodhisattvas, for bodhicitta, and I would love to develop it. But there's a long way to go. Now, the title of this talk is supposed to be Seeing Yourself as You Really Are. And that's taken from the title of a book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And that book primarily dealt with emptiness. Yeah. However, I'm going to look at that title from a different viewpoint tonight and make it more how to see yourself as you want to be. How to see yourself as the person that you want to become. Because in Buddha's practice, a lot of, especially in Tibetan practice, we imagine, we imagine what it would be like to have certain realizations. Yeah? And when we can imagine being in a certain way or having those kinds of thoughts and feelings, it makes it actually much easier to have those thoughts and feelings. Whereas if we can't imagine them, then we're really kind of stuck. So it's kind of like playing, remember when you were a kid you used to play dress up and put on your parents' clothes or, dress up in some way. I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that, and we would pretend to be it. So it's in the same way, sometimes we imagine what it would be like to be a bodhisattva, And then in that way, and we pretend, in that way, what would it be like to really think like a bodhisattva and act like a bodhisattva? So I thought tonight what we would do is just a little exercise on trying to think like a bodhisattva. Okay? So I found a text. A friend of mine is a monk in the Chinese Mahayana tradition, and he translates from Chinese into English. And he gave me some of his translations, and one of them was what you have here, called The 10 Great Vows by Vasubandhu. So this was in a text written by Vasubandhu. Did I put the name of the text in? It looks like I didn't. So Vasubandhu was one of the great Indian sages. And, here he put forth the great resolves, the great determinations, the unshakable resolves of a bodhisattva. And he put down 10 of them, and each one kind of builds on the other. And I find that when I think about them, then it becomes kind of like a meditation to generate bodhicitta. Okay? So that's what we'll do this evening. Okay? Okay, so let's read the 10 out loud together, okay? Let's see. Then B. Okay. Let's read them out loud together so we have familiarization. Then we'll go back at the beginning and one by one. Therefore, in the initial generation of the resolve, it is the great compassion which is foremost. It is on account of the mind of compassion that one becomes able to generate 10 ever more superior great right vows. What are these 10? These are, regarding those roots of goodness I have planted in previous lives and in this present body, I pray that all these roots of goodness may be bestowed upon all of the boundless many beings and dedicated to the unsurpassed Bodhi. May it be that these vows of mine shall grow in each succeeding thought moment, shall be produced again in each successive lifetime, shall always be bound to my mind, shall never be forgotten, and shall be guarded and retained by Dharanis. Having already dedicated these roots of virtuous devotee, I pray that on account of these roots of goodness, no matter where I may be reborn, I shall always be able to make offerings to all Buddhas, and shall definitely never be reborn in a land where there is no Buddha. Having already succeeded in being reborn in the land of the Buddhas, I pray that I shall always be able to draw personally close to them, shall follow along and serve them in every way, shall remain as close to them as a shadow to its form, and shall never be separated from the Buddhas, even for the briefest of moments. Having already succeeded in drawing personally close to the Buddhas, I pray that they will then speak the Dharma for my sake, in accordance with whatsoever is appropriate for me. May I then straightway perfect the Bodhisattva's 5 super knowledges. Having already perfected the Bodhisattva's 5 super knowledges, I pray that I shall thereupon be able to reach a penetrating understanding of the worldly truth, together with its wide-fed artificial designations, that I shall also then be completely command in accordance with a genuine nature, foremost ultimate truth, and that I will gain right Dharma wisdom. Having already realized the right Dharma wisdom, I pray that free of any thoughts of aversion, I shall then explain it for the sake of all beings, instructing them in the teachings, benefiting them, delighting them, and causing them to develop an understanding of it. Having already become able to create an understanding of right Dharma in beings, I pray that availing myself of the spiritual power of the Buddhas, I shall be able to go to all worlds without exception, everywhere throughout the 10 directions, making offerings to the Buddhas, listening to and accepting right Dharma, and extensively drawing in beings to the Dharma. Having already received right Dharma in the abodes of the Buddhas, I pray that I shall thereupon be able to turn the wheel of the pure Dharma in accordance with it. May I then be open in directions worlds who hear me proclaim the Dharma, or who merely hear my name, shall then straightway succeed in abandoning all afflictions and in generating the Bodhi resolve. Having already become able to cause all beings to generate the Bodhi resolve, pray that I may constantly follow along with them, protecting them, ridding them of whatever is unbeneficial, bestowing on them countless sorts of happiness, relinquishing my life and wealth for their states, drawing in beings and taking on the burden of right Dharma. Having already become able to take on the burden of right Dharma, I pray that even though I shall then practice in accordance with right Dharma, my mind shall nonetheless have nothing whatsoever which it practices. May it be that in this I shall conform with the way that the bodhisattvas themselves practice right Dharma, and yet have nothing whatsoever which they either practice or do not practice. Okay. Do you feel that there's something powerful in what we just read? Yeah? It's quite different than reading the newspaper, isn't it? Or reading a college textbook. I mean, what we read here is really, it's telling us what we can become. It's elevating the state of our mind. Yeah, to see possibilities in ourselves and in others that we haven't even maybe dreamt about before. So let's start at the beginning, where it says, therefore, in the initial generation of the resolve, whenever it says resolve, it means bodhichitta. He often translates bodhichitta as the bodhi resolve. We're resolving upon full awakening. Okay, so in initially generating bodhicitta, it is the great compassion which is foremost. It is on account of the mind of compassion that one becomes able to generate 10 ever more superior great right vows. Okay, so right from the get-go, what do we have to aim our mind for? Great compassion. How many of you have been at the teachings in Dharamsala that the center has organized? How many of you have been there? If you've been, you realize this is what His Holiness the Dalai Lama talks about all the time. Great compassion, great compassion, great compassion. Okay? And how important compassion is for our own well-being as well as for the well-being of society. When we care about the other living beings in society, then we act in a caring way that automatically prevents problems. Yeah, it heals wounds. It creates harmony in society. Yeah? If we look around us, what creates problems in society? What creates problems in companies, in families, in Dharma centers? You know, what is it that that's the real culprit? Yeah. One of them is our self-grasping ignorance, thinking that there's an inherently existent I. The other is our self-centered thought, thinking my happiness is most important. And so therefore, just focusing on our own happiness and basically using other people to bring about our happiness, or, harming them when they interfere with our happiness. Okay? So if you think deeply and do an analysis, look at your family, look at your workplace, look at the international situation. Yeah? It becomes very clear in all situations of disharmony. These two things, the self-grasping ignorance, thinking there's a really solid me, and the self-centered mind, thinking I am the most important, that these two things are the chief culprits and the chief causes of all the suffering of all living beings. Yeah? Wisdom is the antidote to the self-grasping ignorance. Great compassion and bodhicitta are the antidotes to the self-centered mind. Yeah? So this first introductory part is saying if we want to generate bodhicitta, we have to create the principal cause for it. And here Vasubandhu is saying one of the principal causes for bodhicitta is great compassion. Yeah? So that means really opening our hearts to other living beings, caring about their experience, wanting the best from them, not being jealous when they have happiness, but rejoicing at their well-being. Now, when they do stupid things or harmful things, forgiving them and developing an intention to teach them, to help them become better living beings, rather than just saying, oh, these people are ridiculous, they're hopeless, let's get rid of them. Okay? So great compassion is a completely different way of looking at the people around us, and not only the human beings around us, but also the animals and insects. Yeah? It means really looking and like, wow, that living being has feelings just like me. They want to be happy and free of suffering, just like me. There's no difference. Yeah? And if we practice that kind of thought, then everywhere we go, we feel connected to the other living beings around us. And that's why His Holiness always says that wherever he goes, he sees friends. Yeah? Because wherever he goes, he cares about the people. So of course he sees them as friends. And of course they respond in a friendly way. Yeah? Whereas when we're only thinking me, I, my, mine, I have to be happy. I have to be comfortable. I am always right. I have to win the argument. I'm the best one. I deserve the praise. I deserve the appreciation. Everybody should be so happy to have me in their lives because I am so wonderful. Yeah? So those kind of thoughts are running through our mind. We don't say them out loud because we're a little bit too polite. But inside our mind, this is the way we think. Oh, there's this parking space. I should get it. Oh, we're driving along the highway. I should get in front of this other car. Yeah, what do we have then? Road rage. How many of you have succumbed to road rage? Oh, I see none of you. It's always the other people. Right, yeah, you're a safe driver. You never speed ahead. You always politely let other people cut in front of you. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot. It's always the other people. Okay. But really, thinking about this, yeah, the other people on the highway want to get where they're going just as much as I want to get where I'm going. Yeah. The other people in the line at the market want to get their groceries and go home just as much as I do. So really, becoming more aware of other situations and caring about it. Yeah, caring about it. Okay, so that's the prelude to the 10, is developing that great compassion. Then, regarding these roots of goodness I have planted in previous lives and in this present body. Okay, so roots of goodness refer to merit, or roots of good, what we also often call roots of virtue. Okay, so whatever virtue or merit I have created in previous lives and in this life, okay, yeah, I pray that all these roots of goodness may be bestowed upon all of the boundlessly many beings and dedicated to the unsurpassed Bodhi. So as we practice Dharma more and more, we begin to value merit and good karma and virtue. And we see that that is much more important than material wealth, social status, fame, and so forth. Because possessions, wealth, social status, when we die, all those things disappear. But our roots of virtue, our good karma, and our negative karma, those seeds, all come with us to the next life. So these things are quite important. So here we're saying that we're praying that all our merit, that we may share the results of it with all the many beings and direct it towards full awakening, or Buddhahood. Okay? So all the virtue that we create, may we not just dedicate it so that I can be rich in the future, so that I can be powerful in the future. These are all worldly things that are transient. But we want to dedicate our merit for our own and others' awakening. So I want to tell you a little story about that. When I first came to live in Singapore in 1987, there was one man who came to see me, and he wanted to learn to meditate. So we met one afternoon in the temple, and I taught him, a simple meditation. And then at the end, I said, now we're going to dedicate all the merit from our meditation so that all living beings can attain full awakening. And he looked at me with this, how do I even describe his look? It was a look of astonishment and fear. And he said, I have so little merit, I don't want to give it away to anybody. He was really worried about this. So I had to assure him that merit isn't something when you dedicate for others, then it no longer ripens for you. But the more you dedicate it, the more you share your merit with others and pray that they have the results of your virtue, then actually the more your merit increases. Yeah, so I had to explain, just relax. It's okay. We can dedicate. You still have your merit. Yeah. He was really worried about this. Okay, so here we're unselfishly dedicating the results of all of our virtuous actions. Okay, so all the boundlessly many beings for all of their welfare and to unsurpassed bodhi, or full awakening. May it be that these vows of mine shall grow in each succeeding thought moment. So these unshakable resolves that we've made as we were generating compassion, and the unshakable resolves or the vows, these 10 that we're going to generate, may they grow in each succeeding thought moment. So when we generate that intention in our mind, may it stay until the next thought moment. May it stay in the next moment of mind. May it continue, and may it be produced again in each successive lifetime. So as we go from one life to the next, may we not lose our bodhicitta. May our bodhicitta be deeply rooted in our mind stream, so that when we are born in our next life, when we're quite young, that bodhicitta can arise, and it can be a powerful force in our life. And you can see that young children have personalities and they have tendencies. Those of you who are parents, I'm sure you see that. So what we're praying for here is in our next life, may we have the tendency, may we have the spontaneous pull towards being of great benefit to other living beings and towards practicing the Dharma path for that purpose. Okay, wouldn't that be nice? You wake up in your next life and you have bodhicitta? Wouldn't that be nice? Instead of waking up in your next life and, I want my own way. You can't have that. I want it. And being a bratty kid. And a bratty adult, Okay. So may these vows and this bodhicitta be produced in each successive lifetime, always be bound to my mind, shall never be forgotten. So whether I'm awake, whether I'm asleep, may this aspiration for full awakening, because I really love and have compassion for sentient beings. May this always be the dominant factor in my mind. Yeah. Imagine what you would feel like on a daily basis if every day you had great compassion in your mind when you got up in the morning, when you dealt with your family, when you went to work. Yeah? Can you even imagine that? What it would be like? It'd be pretty spectacular, wouldn't it? Because if we had great compassion, we would be impervious to other people's criticism. If we had strong compassion, other people could criticize us from top to bottom. We would be totally okay. We wouldn't go, how dare they criticize me? I'm going to punch them in the nose for doing that. Or we wouldn't dissolve in tears. Oh, they criticized me. Yeah? If we have bodhichitta and great compassion, people can criticize us. We respond with understanding, empathy, compassion. Not with self-centered thought. Wouldn't that be nice? What do you think? Yeah? Okay. And shall our bodhisattva and these vows our bodhicitta and these vows, be guarded and retained by dharanis, or protected by different mantras and scriptures. Okay, so that's the first resolve that we make. Okay, the second one. Having already dedicated these roots of goodness to Bodhi. Okay, so that tells us that the second one is built on the first one. Because the first one is all about dedicating our roots of goodness to Bodhi. So this one's saying, having done that, okay, now what are we going to do? I pray that on account of these roots of goodness, no matter where I may be reborn, I shall always be able to make offerings to all Buddhas and shall definitely never be reborn in a land where there is no Buddha. Okay, so here we're really saying, that because we've dedicated our merit for full awakening, may one of the byproducts of that be that we have a good rebirth in the future so that we can meet the Dharma and continue to practice. Because it's going to take us many lifetimes to attain Buddhahood. So we need a series of good lives where we have the opportunity to practice. Okay? So like the precious human life we have now, we need that kind of opportunity. Okay? So may we never be born in a place where there is no Buddha. Okay? Or no Dharma, or no Sangha. Now, for a minute, imagine, okay, you're born in Singapore, there's no temples, there's no Buddhist centers, there's no teachers, there's no scriptures. You have deep spiritual yearning, but there's no Dharma around for you to learn. And you don't even know Dharma exists because it isn't anywhere around you. Then what happens to your life? If you're born in a place where there's no teachings, where there's no teachers, where there's no Sangha, yeah? Are you going to be able to create virtue? Are you going to be able to even create enough merit to have a good life, let alone merit to gain realizations and progress along the path? Think about it, yeah? Think about what your life would be like if you hadn't met the Buddha's teachings. So that may be hard for you because you were born in a place where the Dharma exists. I was born in the barbarian land of the United States. Okay? There was no Buddhism around. I was very spiritually thirsty, but all the other religions I encountered didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. So when I met the Dharma, it was like, whoa, am I fortunate here? And when I go back to the time when I met the Dharma, and I imagine if I had not encountered my teachers in the Dharma, but had just continued on living my life the way I lived it before, what would have happened in my life? Who would I be now? Yeah? And when I think about that and the direction I was going in my life back then, I realize I would have made a big mess of my own life and of the lives of the people around me. Because if I hadn't met the Dharma and really studied ethical conduct, and all the Dharma principles, I would have made a huge mess and caused a lot of suffering. Yeah? So when we hear this line, may I never be born in a land where there is no Buddha, it's like for me, yes, I never want to be born in a land where there is no Buddha, because, then I would be really lost, totally lost. Yeah? Not just lost in one life, but lost in many future lifetimes. Okay, so can we always be born in lands where there are Buddhas? And may we always be able to make offerings to all the Buddhas. Okay? So if we have an altar in our home, we make offerings every day. Yeah. If we eat all day, we eat many times a day. We offer our food to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Okay. We practice making offerings, and that accumulates a lot of merit. I heard a story about Rilpo Rinpoche before he passed away. I knew him. He wasn't one of my teachers, but I knew him and respected him. And he was in the hospital. I don't know what he was ill from, but he was in the hospital and sleeping and getting worse and approaching death. And apparently at one point he became conscious again, and he said to his attendant, "Oh, there's Buddhas all around. Quick, get some things so I can make offerings to them." Okay? This is what he saw before he died. This was his karmic vision before he died. There's Buddhas all around. And what was his spontaneous wish? I want to make offerings to them. And he's dying. And that's what he thinks about. Amazing, isn't it? Most people, when they're dying, are freaking out. Yeah, he wasn't at all. Okay, then 3. Having already succeeded in being reborn in the lands of the Buddhas. Okay, so we've generated compassion. We've aspired for those roots of goodness, dedicated them for full bodhi, and we've dedicated and we've prayed so that we can always be born in a place where there's Buddhas and make offerings. So having done all of that, now I pray that I shall always be able to draw personally close to them, shall follow along and serve them in any way, shall remain as close to them as a shadow to its form or as a shadow to its body, and shall never become distantly separated from the Buddhas, even for the briefest of moments. Okay? So when we've been born in a land where there's Buddhas, there's Dharma, and there's Sangha, may we not take them for granted. May we not spend our whole life sleeping in ignorance. May our mind not just be distracted by all the pleasures of samsara, but may we really be drawn to the Buddhas and want to become close to them and hear teachings and practice teachings and serve our teachers and make offerings to the three jewels. Okay? Because it's one thing to be born in a place where there's the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and another thing to appreciate that. Yeah? And we can even see in ourselves, sometimes we appreciate the opportunity we have right now, and sometimes we just take it for granted. Oh, there's Dharma teachings tonight, but I have to travel a half an hour to get to the Dharma center, and I'm tired, so I'll stay home tonight, because I can go next week to the teachings. Oh, there's a retreat this weekend. You know, I can go and do retreat, but a friend who I haven't seen in a long time is getting married, and I can go to their wedding and have a good time. So I won't go to the retreat. Huh? Oh, there's Dharma teaching tonight. Yeah, I want to go, but I have a lot to do at work. And if I work overtime, my boss will be really impressed. And then I might get the promotion. And if I get the promotion, I'll get a lot more money. So I'll stay and work late at the office tonight. I'll go to Dharma class later. Sound familiar? Yeah? Yeah. Oh, there's teachings tonight, but my little toe hurts. Yeah? Oh, my little toe hurts so badly. I just can't make it. I'm going to stay at home and go to bed early. Okay? So what this verse is saying here, this third one, is we're not going to be like that. We're going to appreciate our opportunity. Okay? We're going to want to become close to the Buddhas or to our teachers. Becoming close to our teachers doesn't mean that we follow along like little puppy dogs. It means in our heart, may we become close. Yeah? May the way our teachers approach life, may we approach life in that way. That's what becoming close to our teachers means. Yeah. It doesn't mean pushing all the other disciples out of the way so that we can be near our teachers. Okay. Okay. So may we be close to them. Shall we never be separated from them? Yeah? Very important. Okay, then 4. Then having already succeeded in drawing personally close to the Buddhas, so having completed number 3, yeah, I pray that they will then speak Dharma for my sake in accordance with whatsoever is appropriate for me. May I then straightway perfect the Bodhisattva's 5 super knowledges. Okay, so I've been born in the land with the Buddhas. I've made offerings to them. I appreciate them. I'm drawing close to them by making my mind close to them. I'm attending teachings and so on. Yeah. So now I pray that they shall teach me the Dharma in a way that is suitable for my mind. Because each of us has different tendencies, different dispositions. So may we encounter teachers who we have karmic connections with, basically. May we encounter teachers who teach in a way that really appeals to us. Yeah. So, and then may we straight away practice those teachings. So, not that we just go to class and we listen to teachings and oh, that was nice. And then we go home and somebody says, well, what did they talk about in the Dharma class? Buddhism. Yeah. But we're like an empty pot. Whatever we heard, the Dharma, in one ear, out the other. Can't remember a thing. Okay? So may we not be like that. Yeah. So you may choose to take notes during a Dharma course or a talk, or listen attentively when you go home. Write down some of the important points so you'll remember them. Or listen when there's the live teachings, then get the recording or the video, listen again, and the second time through, take some notes. And then you can go back and think about what you heard. Okay? So that it's not just in one ear, out the other. I travel a lot. So I'm at many different centers. And so it's always interesting to me, when the people at the different centers talk to me about either their teacher or other visiting teachers who have been there. And they'll always tell all these funny kind of stories about, what the teacher did, or a joke that the teacher said, or, when they took the teacher shopping, what happened. They'll tell me all about that. But when I asked, and what did he teach you? They've forgotten. They've forgotten. So then it makes me wonder, well, I'm there giving a Dharma talk. When I leave, are they not going to remember anything from the Dharma talk, but they're just going to tell little stories about me, like, what kind of food I like and this kind of stuff? Yeah. Really made me think, like, why am I here? Okay, so it's saying, may we really, put the teachings into practice after we've heard them. And here it talks about actualizing the Bodhisattva's 5 super knowledges. So these are 5 special powers that people with very deep samadhi can cultivate. And if you're a bodhisattva, then you can use these powers to benefit sentient beings. Okay, so let's see if I can remember them. The first one is supernormal powers. So this means you can walk on water, walk through walls, fly in the sky, make your body disappear, make many bodies, those kinds of things, okay? And then the second one is clairaudience. It means that you can hear things from that are being said very far away. Okay, so this is better than Facebook spying on you. Okay, but the thing is, a bodhisattva doesn't use it for those reasons. A bodhisattva uses it to hear teachings in faraway places. Okay, then the third one is knowing others' minds. Okay, so you know what other beings are thinking. And if you have bodhicitta and you want to benefit them, then that's good. Then you can really help them. Then the next one is knowing your previous lives. So this is very helpful because if you can see your previous lives, then you definitely want to get out of samsara. Okay, you can have strong renunciation. And then the fifth one is knowing the death and rebirth of other living beings. You watch them die and be reborn according to their karma. So if you're a bodhisattva, knowing this about other living beings helps, enables you to be of greater and greater benefit to them. Okay, so those are the 5 super knowledges. Then the 5th vow. Having already perfected the bodhisattva's 5 super knowledges, I pray that I shall thereupon be able to reach a penetrating understanding of worldly truth. That means conventional truth, okay? And the penetrating understanding of conventional truth has a lot to do with understanding the law of karma and its effects. Yeah, with understanding causality, not only physical, biological causality, but the causality from the ethical causality of understanding our actions and their results. Okay, understanding karma. Okay, so may I reach a penetrating understanding of worldly or conventional truth, together with its widespread artificial designations. That means all the different phenomena that exist by being designated. May we have awareness of them. Okay. That I shall also then completely comprehend, in accordance with its genuine nature, the foremost ultimate truth, and that I will gain right Dharma wisdom. So not only understand conventional truth, the functioning of all the objects that we see around us, but may we understand the ultimate truth, the actual mode of existence of all persons and phenomena. So that ultimate truth is the emptiness of inherent existence. Yeah, knowing things that things have no, they're not self-enclosed entities with their own findable essence or nature. They're empty of inherent existence. So there we're praying to realize the 2 truths. Okay, then the 6th one. So by realizing the 2 truths, then we gain right Dharma wisdom. Okay, so we're getting somewhere on the path. Yeah. Okay, having already realized the right Dharma wisdom, I pray that free of any thoughts of aversion, I shall then explain it for the sake of beings, instructing them in the teachings, benefiting them, delighting them, and causing them all to develop an understanding of it. So when we gain right Dharma wisdom, may we not keep it to ourselves. May we not say, okay, I've realized the ultimate truth. I'm going to become an arhat or a bodhisattva, and I don't want anybody else to know it, because then they may get enlightened faster than me. Okay, you know how we compete with others? Yeah? So no competition with anybody else. Okay? But instead, and also no aversion. So it says without any thoughts of aversion. Yeah, we want to share the Dharma with everybody. So it means all living beings, we want to share the Dharma. We don't look at some lepers or some poor people, some homeless people who are drunk living in the streets. We don't look at them and go, ew, they're dirty, they're drunk. I don't want to help them. Yeah. I'll teach these rich people who live in a nice house and will offer me good food. Okay, not like that. Yeah, we want to share the Dharma with everybody. No bias, no aversion. Yeah, completely open-hearted. And teach the Dharma in a way that is appropriate for each living being. Yeah? So teaching things at the right level. If people are advanced, teach them at that level. If people are at the beginning, teach them at that level. Okay? So that's number 6. Then, and so what we want to do in teaching them the Dharma is create the right Dharma wisdom in their mind streams. Okay? Then 7, having already become able to create an understanding of right Dharma in beings, so having accomplished number 6, I pray that availing myself of the spiritual power of the Buddhas, I shall be able to go to all worlds without exception, everywhere, throughout the 10 directions, making offerings to the Buddhas, listening to and accepting right Dharma, and extensively drawing in beings to the Dharma. Okay, so having gained, some understanding of conventional and ultimate truths, then may we be able, as bodhisattvas, to manifest many bodies and go to many pure lands and many universes and many places so that we can hear teachings and make offerings to the Buddhas in those places. Yeah. So imagine for a minute, being a bodhisattva and, Amitabha, you hear, you got it on your phone that Amitabha is giving this profound teaching, except you don't have a phone because now you have psychic powers, so you can throw your phone away. Okay, so Amitabha is giving teachings there, and Akshobhya is giving teachings over there. Yeah, and that you don't need to take the MRT to get there. Yeah, that you can manifest different bodies. Send one to Sukhavati, Amitabha's world. Send another to Abharati, Akshobhya's world. And listen to all the teachings that these Buddhas give. Yeah? You don't need an MRT card. You don't need any petrol. Yeah? It's a green way of living. Yeah, because you just manifest different bodies and send them out there. Okay? And so can you go to all these worlds throughout the 10 directions, that means everywhere, making offerings to the Buddha, listening to and accepting the right Dharma, and then extensively drawing in beings to the Dharma, taking all of our friends with us. Okay, so it's not just, well, everybody, I'm going to the land of great bliss to hear Amitabha's teachings. I hope you have a good time watching the soap opera on TV tonight. But it's like, no, I'm going to take everybody with me. And if they can't come with me, I'm going to hear the teachings, and then I'm going to come back and tell them the teachings. So your heart is so wide open. You want everybody to come into contact with the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, but you don't pressure other living beings. Yeah? You don't go, okay, you have to come with me to listen to the teachings of Amitabha, because if you miss these, you're going to hell. Okay? We don't threaten other living beings. Yeah. We never tell anybody that if they're not a Buddhist, they're going to go to hell or get sick or something like that. Okay? Yeah, we're completely kind. We teach beings, we share the Dharma with them in a way that is amenable to them, in a way that they can hear it. And so with people who are not Buddhists, yeah, like, you don't go to, in my case, like my parents who are not Buddhist, I wouldn't go, hey, Mom, Dad, there's Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Samsara, Nirvana. You can get enlightened. They'd look at me like, what are those words? What language are you talking about? Huh? Okay. So what I would do instead is, I'm trying to practice ethical discipline, ethical conduct. I'm trying to be a good citizen, to be honest in my work, to not lie, to be kind to the other people around me. Yeah. To be a good citizen and contribute to the welfare, not just of the country, but of the whole planet and the whole world. Yeah. If you say that, you're talking Dharma, but the other person doesn't know it. Because you're not using any big fancy words. Yeah. When your friend is angry and upset, you talk to them about one of the Buddhist methods for how to overcome anger. You don't use any fancy Pali Sanskrit words. Yeah? You just use regular language, but you teach people how to forgive, how to see the situation in a different way. Okay? So you become very skillful, so that in one way or another, you're always kind of sprinkling the Dharma around on everybody that you encounter. Mm-hmm. Yeah? One way to do that, at least one thing that I try to do, is I try to be polite to other people, especially strangers. Yeah. So like I said, I travel a lot. So when I'm on planes, I realize that the flight attendants, especially on these long flights, yeah, they have so many people to give food, and people want this, and they want that, and they don't want this, and they don't, and all this. And I just try and be polite to the flight attendants. And it was really interesting on this recent flight from the U.S. to Asia. At one point, the flight attendant came over to talk to me, and she wanted to know kind of, what I was, or who I was, or, and so I just said, I'm a Buddhist nun, and I do this and that, and she said, oh, I feel very calm around you. And I said, oh, that's kind of due to, to my practice. Inside, I wasn't going, really nutty and crazy and anxious. I just, okay. Okay, she thinks I'm calm. I'll be calm. But and I just said, sometime, if you have the opportunity to go to a temple or to go to a talk, do that. Yeah. So it's just small encounters with people where you make a difference in their life in one way or another. Sometimes just smiling at them. Yeah. One time I was on a flight. I was probably coming to Asia, and the flight was canceled. And we were in, all the people on my flight, we had to get off the plane, we're all hanging out, we're all exhausted, we want to just get in a plane and go somewhere. And, so I just said, okay, Chodron, be kind, don't get upset. And, so I tried to be that way while we waited for another plane to come. And when another plane came and we finally got on board, one person on the flight who I hadn't really noticed said, "Oh, it was really helpful to me that you kept so calm while we were waiting. Your calmness helped me be calm." Okay? So just small things like this can influence other people, and then it makes them think about their lives. Yeah? It makes them want to do something. Then the really funny one is, I'm telling you lots of stories now. And again, on a long overseas flight, some guy came up. I was on an aisle seat, and he kind of knelt beside me. He had something to drink. He wasn't totally drunk, but it was clear. I think he had something to drink. And he started confessing to me. Yeah. So somehow, it was like he saw me. Maybe I looked like some religious person, either this or I look like a total quack, and he just had enough trust that he wanted to unburden himself and started confessing things to me. Yeah. So there's many ways to benefit sentient beings. Okay. So, extensively drawing in beings to the Dharma. Okay. So that's 7. Then 8. Having already received right Dharma in the abodes of the Buddhas, I pray that I shall thereupon be able to turn the wheel of pure Dharma in accordance with it. Turn the wheel of pure Dharma means appearing in a world where the Dharma teachings do not already exist. Okay, like Shakyamuni Buddha turned the wheel of Dharma in our world. The teachings didn't exist here. He was the first one who taught them in our world. So here we're praying to be able to do the same thing. May it then be that all beings of the 10 directions worlds who hear me proclaim the Dharma, or who merely hear my name, shall then straightway succeed in abandoning all afflictions and in generating the Bodhi resolve, or the bodhichitta. Okay? So having received the right Dharma, we want to be able to turn the Dharma wheel in all the worlds, and proclaim the Dharma to everybody, such that they can hear it, and such that even when they think of us, or even when they hear our name, it inspires them to practice, such that then they can eliminate all their afflictions and generate bodhicitta. Mm-hmm. So We hear in many prayers, just by hearing the name of, the bodhisattvas will bless their name, so that just by hearing my name, may sentient beings become awakened. I think it usually takes more than hearing somebody's name, yeah? But what it does make me think of is many people have told me that they're not Buddhist, never done anything Buddhist, but His Holiness Dalai Lama is giving a public talk in their town. So they get a ticket and they go, and they tell me that they're sitting in the audience, and as soon as His Holiness walks on the stage, they start crying. They don't know why, but something about his presence, they start crying. Okay? So when I think of, hearing somebody's name and then people being able to eliminate afflictions, I think of, that's pretty special. But what about, walking on stage and people feel so moved just by your energy, the energy around you, yeah, that they cry and they get inspired and they want to listen to the talk and they want to hear what about this person makes them so special that just their presence touches my heart in this way. Yeah? So I think, something like that. May we become that kind of person. Yeah? Not somebody who, when other people look at, go, ew, that guy looks creepy. Yeah. But that person, there's something about them. Yeah. What are they practicing? What are they doing? I want to learn. Yeah? So aspiring that we can have that kind of influence on other people. Then 9, having already become able to cause all beings to generate the Bodhi resolve, or bodhichitta, I pray that may I constantly follow along with them, protecting them, ridding them of whatever is unbeneficial, bestowing on them countless sorts of happiness, relinquishing my life and wealth for their sakes, drawing in beings, and taking on the burden of right dharma. Okay? So, may I become able of helping to cause all beings to generate bodhicitta, and then may I help them while they're practicing the bodhisattva path. Yeah? May I continue to teach them. May I encourage them. May I practice together with them. Yeah? When they have questions, may I answer them. When they get confused, can I clarify the path for them? Yeah? Can I protect them from bad influences? Yeah? And enable them to, have all the conducive circumstances to practice. And if I need to give up all my wealth and I need to give up my life for that, I'm fine with it. Imagine being able to think like that. Wow. Okay? But that's the direction we want to go in. And we can see through these different vows or unshakable resolves how we develop our mind to go in that direction. And then 10, having already become able to take on the burden of right dharma, I pray that even though I shall then practice in accordance with right dharma, my mind shall nonetheless have nothing whatsoever which it practices. That sounds contradictory. It isn't. What it means is, may I practice the Dharma, the true Dharma, in a proper way, but may I not see the Dharma or myself or my mind or my practice as something truly existent, inherently existent. May I see that all these things are empty of inherent existence, that their deeper mode of existence is that they're not independent, closed-in entities. They're dependent arisings. When I search for them, I can't find them. But when I don't search, there are the appearances. Okay? So when it says, that we shall have nothing whatsoever to practice, it means that we're not seeing any aspect of our practice as truly existent. We're seeing it all as empty. Okay, so there's no independent dharma to practice. There's no independent person, me, who's practicing. There's no inherently existent bodhichitta. All these things are empty. And so that comes from realizing the ultimate truth. Okay, so may it be that in this I shall conform with the way that may I conform in the way that the bodhisattvas themselves practice right dharma, and yet have nothing whatsoever which they either practice or do not practice. When we recite the Heart Sutra, it says there's no attainment, no non-attainment, no increase, no decrease. Okay? So what all those things are, when you're taking these things that seem opposite, no decrease, no increase, but wait a minute, something has to either increase or decrease. What it means is that none of these things exist as independent, inherent entities. Okay? And so the same is here. There's no independent thing that we practice or that we don't practice. There's no attainment and no non-attainment inherently. Okay? Conventionally, these things exist, but not inherently. Okay, so those are the 10 vows of the great bodhisattvas that Vasubandhu laid out, and they all begin with great compassion. Okay, so we should really do whatever we can do to generate compassion, great compassion in our lives. And practice it again and again and again, such that it really permeates our mind stream. Okay? So, we have a few minutes for questions and comments. Yes?
Sorry, Venerable, we seem to have missing words on the 8th paragraph.
Yeah, on my copy, there's things at the top of the page and the bottom of the page. And one version has an extra line that the other version doesn't. So you want the one with the extra line. I can read it to you. Okay? So if we start on the bottom of the first page, okay, the last word says, may it then be, and then the next, what you want to add, the line, okay, may it then be that all beings of the 10 directions worlds who hear me proclaim the Dharma or who merely, and then you go to the next line, which should be on your paper, which is, hear my name. Okay? So I'll read it again, starting at the bottom of the first page. Shall it then be that all beings of the 10 directions worlds who hear me proclaim the Dharma, or who merely, and then the next line, hear my name. Okay? Other questions, comments? Anything? This is your chance. Yeah.
Can you please explain the vow number 1, the last sentence, retained by Dharanis?
Yeah. Retained by Dharani. I must admit, I'm not totally clear about that myself, but Dharanis are generally mantras. Yeah? And mantras are syllables that the Buddha spoke that different Buddhas speak when they're in deep states of meditation. Okay, so I think it must mean, shall be guarded and retained by Dharanis, by mantras. Yeah, like I said, I'm not totally clear on it, but it seems to me it must have something to do with reciting things such that you really remember them in your mind stream. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Venerable. My mom's really happy that I'm asking a question, but it's actually just for you to repeat that bit about no inherent existence. I'm struggling with how it relates to compassion, because it seems to be that it's contingent on the fact that there's no inherent existence. Isn't it?
That what's contingent?
Compassion is contingent on the idea that there's no inherent existence.
Oh.
And so there's no entitlement for each individual person.
Okay. So if in I'll repeat the question. Yeah. So it seems like, would I explain more about what it means, no inherent existence, and how does that fit with compassion? Okay. So when we generate compassion for sentient beings, yeah, the way we view sentient beings, yeah, we're not perceiving their ultimate nature. Yeah. When we see people, it looks like they're real people, doesn't it? There's real people out there. And this person is my friend, a real friend. And, from their own side, they're a good person, so they're my friend. That person over there is a jerk from their own side. Yeah, so he's an enemy. These people are strangers, so I don't care about them. And so we think friend, enemy, and stranger, that these are very rigid categories, that people who fall in one category or another can never change categories, that good people are always good, bad people are always bad, and we just even look at a person and we think that there's something in their body-mind complex that is a self or a soul or some essence that is really them. And when we talk about emptiness of inherent existence, we're saying actually people don't have a self or a soul or some inherent essence that is who they really are. That actually people exist by independence on many other factors. And so they change. Yeah. They don't have some concrete essence. Okay? So that's what it means. So if we can generate compassion for beings while we understand their ultimate mode of existence, our compassion becomes much more powerful than if we look at them with this skewed view thinking that there's independent people out there. Okay?
Why is it great compassion and not just compassion?
So why is it great compassion and not just compassion? Because great compassion is strong, you know? And great compassion is going to lead you to do something. One example they give is somebody's drowning in the ocean, and we have so much compassion for that person drowning in the ocean. Oh, it's terrible, they're drowning. Somebody needs to go save them. And that's it. We stay on the beach where we're safe. Yeah. We have compassion for them because they're drowning, but we're not going in that water. Okay? Great compassion is going to move you. It's going to make you have a great resolve of, okay, that person's drowning, I'm going to go out and help. Of course, you need to learn how to swim. Okay, don't go out if you don't know how to swim. But if you're capable, then, you know, I'm not going to sit on the beach and just sunbathe while somebody's drowning. I'm going to go out and help. Okay? So, great compassion is very powerful like that. Uh-huh.
How can I liberate myself from my what I consider extremely strong attachment to this very wonderfully delicious validation that I get from sexual attraction and advances from other women? How do I transform this, what has been called lesser desire, into the greater desire of, let's say, compassion?
Okay, so you're asking about sexual desire and getting a buzz from other people, you know, and how do you transform that into something?
It's very distracting.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's very distracting. So, Shantideva, well, actually the Buddha, started with the Buddha, teaches a very good meditation for not being distracted so much by sexual desire. You won't like the meditation, but that's because it works. If you do it, it works, okay? So what you do is you start looking at that body of somebody else that you're so attracted to. You start looking at what it is, okay? So there are their eyes. 1, 2. Yeah, do their eyeballs turn you on? Okay. Then you put their teeth out. How many teeth? 36 teeth? 32 teeth? Anyway, you put all the teeth out there. Remember, your eyes are like diamonds, your teeth are like pearls. Really? When they're sitting out on the table? Okay. Then you take their skin. You imagine it falling off. A pile of skin is sexy. Yeah. Then you take body hair. Or head hair, just their hair. Okay. Then you imagine their stomach. Wow, that stomach. So handsome. Yeah. Their spleen, their liver, their pancreas, their small intestine, their large intestine, their lungs, their esophagus. Don't you want to hug all those things? Yeah. if we look at what the body is that we're so attracted to, it's really not so attractive. Okay. See, I told you you wouldn't like it. Yeah. But if you do this meditation, for sure, it cuts the distraction down. Yeah?
Is there a name of it that I can look at?
It's called, the Pali name is Asuba, A-S-U-B-A, which means like the, you know where you could find it? Under the 4 establishments of mindfulness, or 4 applications of mindfulness, 4 close placements of mindfulness, different translations. Under the first one, mindfulness of the body. Yeah. And that one also tells you how to meditate on people as their bodies as decaying corpses. That one really gets you, you know. Wow, that good-looking guy, and his body is red and blue and stinky. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good evening, Venerable. So I have a very actually practical question, because we spoke about how there is no inherent nature to people or things. But in my daily life, I encounter people whom I feel, you know, are permanently greedy or conniving or triggering other people and permanently selfish, and they keep doing those things, but in different kinds of ways and manners. Mm-hmm. And in our time and age where everything is so fast, those kind of greedy, selfish, and permanently selfish and greedy attitudes trigger the same kind of unkindness in us as well. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we're all locked in this collective samsaric cycle, and nothing is getting unlodged anywhere, and it seems like we're all permanently suffering. So how do we practice?
Okay. We're not permanently suffering, because permanent means nothing ever changes, and we are changing all the time. Okay. But the thing is, we have to listen to the teachings and apply them ourselves. If we wait for everybody else to do it before we do, then we're wasting our time. Okay? So yeah, the world is in mass confusion, mass delusion. That's definitely the case. Okay? So that means we individually have to study the teachings and put them into practice. Yeah. Nobody else is going to come by and save us. Nobody else is going to set up the optimum situation for us to practice Dharma. Nobody else is going to make the world change. We have to make our own internal world change. When we change our internal world, our experience of the external world changes. Okay? And this is, one of the important things in the Buddha Dharma. Yeah, that what we experience is created by our own mind. So it's not a question of changing the rest of the world on the outside. It's a question of changing our mind. Okay. So we have some work to do, huh?
Following on to that question, on dissecting the physical appearances or whatever, digging out the eyes or whatever not, what if it is not the appearance that I'm attracted to, but the quality that the person possesses, like perhaps how creative that person is, how intelligent that person is.
Oh yeah.
How do I dissect
Okay, so he's so creative. He's so intelligent. Yeah, the most creative, intelligent person that there is alive. Does everybody see him that way?
No, but
But wait a minute. If from his own side, he really is the most creative, intelligent person, if he existed like that inherently from his own side, then everybody should see him the same way. And some people look at him and say, what a jerk.
Yeah, I get that. So I need to.
No, you don't get that. Sorry.
So I want to work on that. The ultimate solution is really to see the ultimate nature of all that.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to see the ultimate nature because, otherwise we project so much stuff on people. You're still very young. You talk to any of the people here who are older than you, who have been married for 10 or 20 years. Ask them if their spouse now is as wonderful as when they met him before. Yeah? Okay, what do you think? Anybody? Yeah? Okay. So, yeah.
Good evening, Venerable. Most Buddhist texts focus on great compassion for others. How about self-compassion? In a typical Asian society, or rather our upbringing, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. And I can be compassionate to others if they make a mistake, but sometimes I cannot be compassionate to myself if I make a mistake. So how do I deal with, or how do I learn self-compassion?
When we say we want to develop compassion for all sentient beings, all includes us. It doesn't mean my compassion is for all sentient beings minus one. And that one is me, okay? We tend to be very hard on ourselves, very self-critical. And I think especially in a society where your parents are pushing you all the time to be successful, and you've got to pass the exam and get into the best kindergarten. Otherwise your whole life is going to be a failure. And when you have this kind of pressure, then you tend to become very self-critical and constantly comparing yourself to others. And of course, then we never measure up. And then we just go, oh, this one's more attractive, this one's more intelligent, this one's more creative, this one's more athletic, this one's more, whatever it is. And I'm just a loser. Yeah? And that's total rubbish. We have the Buddha nature. We're not losers. Yeah, I don't care if Trump calls me a loser. He calls everybody a loser except himself. Yeah, which says something. Okay, but when we are sitting there going, I'm a loser, I'm so inadequate, nobody loves me, I can't do anything right. Are those thoughts true or not true? I can't do anything right. Is that true? You can't do anything right? Really? Nothing? Yeah. You can lock the door. You can make some toast. You know how to do a lot of things. You're not incapable. Yeah. But we exaggerate and speak to ourselves in these very very judgmental, absolutist kind of terms that are totally false. Okay? So I think it's very important to look at our self-talk and realize that actually it's a bunch of lies. And sitting there and saying, I'm the worst one of all. that is an inverted kind of pride. It's saying, if I can't be best, I'm going to be worst. Yeah, but somehow I am special. I'm the worst one. What kind of weird self-importance is that? Okay? So look at those thoughts and really ask yourself, is that thought true? Because when you scrutinize those thoughts, you realize they aren't true at all. They're fake news. Okay. Okay, so we have to close for this evening. Tomorrow night, actually, we continue with fake news at the Buddhist library. Okay. So, let's just sit for a second and really rejoice at what we did together this evening, at the merit we collected, created as individuals, at the merit that we created as a group, and then take all those roots of goodness and send them out into the universe with our aspirations and prayers that they bring peace to the minds of all other living beings, and in the long term ripen as our own and others' Buddhahood. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May the born have no decline, but increase forevermore.